We had to figure out what exactly are the needs, and we knew that we needed to get food to seniors as well as to our youth families. And we also provided incontinence supplies to seniors. And we also delivered diapers to many of our families because, as you know, everyone was quarantined and they were supposed to leave the house. So we started working and partnering with a lot of other organizations in the community to provide meals. Oftentimes they were cooked and prepared meals. Sometimes they were groceries that would last for a week. And then on many occasions, particularly with our youth, we delivered food on a daily basis. So as a result, what ended up happening is um, folks who normally, like my executive assistant, we all were in our cars delivering meals, and we did it in such a way. We wore a mask. We each had a list of individuals that we were delivering to. We would call every morning to let them know the meals were coming and deliver to those households. We would deliver the meals on the porches, let them know that it's out there, and once we leave the porch, they would come out and get it. And that's what we did to try to make sure that we remained safe. We had generous contributions from organizations in the community that provided us with hand sanitizer, masks, gloves, most of the protective equipment that we needed to get the job done. And so all of us worked outside of what we normally do each day to make sure that those needs were met. As time went on, I think in March there were several organizations that were providing meals. But as time went on, we began to realize that the resources were not as plentiful as they were when the pandemic first started. So we then had to start traveling a little further to food pantries to pick up meals for seniors. And what we decided to do was try to get meals that last for a complete week and deliver them so that we're not delivering meals to our seniors every single day, because we also put together a super summer virtual program for 100 students in grades K through college. And as one of the components of that program, we delivered breakfast and lunch every day to all of those students. So we knew that we had to, because our bench is not that deep at Dunbar in terms of staffing, we only have 2 agency vans. We use some of our personal cars and vehicles. We wanted to make sure that we could meet the needs of our youth every day, providing them with the breakfast and lunch provided to us by the Central New York Food Bank. That was just one of the components of the 8-week program. One of the things that we also realized in talking to folks from the Syracuse City School District and other organizations in the community was that in order to do a virtual program for 100 students, we were going to need to upgrade the technology within our building as well as the technology that we provided to the students. So our next task, aside from writing various grants to provide the financial resources to make this happen, was to figure out a way to purchase 150 Chromebooks. And I know we said we had 100 students, but we also have seniors that we wanted to also be able to connect on Zoom calls at some point, because we had no idea how long this pandemic was going to last. We were able to get 150 Chromebooks. We also purchased web-based curriculums for a summer program that had several components. The first thing we thought about was the fact that our students have been out of school from March through June, and in talking with many parents, many of them had not done any academic work because they either did not have the technology in the homes. Oftentimes, I guess the plan B for the district was to provide packets of work, and parents were saying that they didn't receive the packets. I'm not sure really what happened with that, but what we knew was that many of our students went several weeks or months without any academic support. So we wanted to figure out, as an agency and as a staple in the community, particularly here on the South Side, what role could Dunbar play to try to close the gap in the academic, um, with the academic issues that our students were facing. So what we decided to do was, after many days and nights of planning, is to develop a 8-week summer program that had an academic component, and the academic component consisted of us hiring 5 certified teachers and 5 teaching assistants. We divided our students into 5 different age groups. Each group was named after a historical black college or university, which students were required to learn the history of that particular HBCU. And in the morning, the schedule went that in the morning, students were working with the certified teachers and the TAs from 10 a.m. till 1 o'clock, because they spent 1 hour Monday through Friday on language arts, reading, and math. We selected the IXL curriculum because it had a diagnostic feature that would assess for us the progress of each student on an individual basis, and we wanted to be able to measure how impactful the program was. I did have one parent that shared that her daughter was really struggling with the concept of math, and math made her very anxious. And what she said was that her daughter jumped in 7 weeks 1 complete grade level. Now, I don't know how she assessed that, but she said, "Miss Green, whatever you all are doing in the fall, count us in." The other component that we wanted to make sure that we included was an enrichment component, because we knew that it would be very challenging for students to remain engaged virtually without some type of activity that they were interested in for the second half of the day. So we contracted with Alvin Ailey out of New York City. They provided a dance component for us. We worked with Step Africa out of Washington, D.C. that provided a step program for us. We worked with Tucker Missionary Baptist Church, where we put together a gospel choir. We also worked with iMobile, Abraham Massara, who pulled together, we basically provided a counseling, small group counseling sessions for students. And the reason we felt that was important was because we knew that students were struggling, with the lack of socialization as a result of COVID-19. B, we were in a time where there was a great deal of racial tension throughout the nation, and we knew that they were feeling the remnants of that. And C, we had quite a bit of violence right here in the Syracuse community that serves as trauma for many of our students, and they deal with it quite often. And we just wanted to provide them with a safe space to be able to kind of talk through what they were feeling, and to spend some time with certified therapists that could give them some strategies and techniques on how to deal with that frustration. So the funny thing is, the first week of the supportive group counseling session, I had a 7-year-old come to me, and I said, your teachers are saying that you're not engaged during, this was his very first counseling session in a small group. And he said, well, Miss Green, I'm not really interested in counseling because I don't need therapy. So I had to explain to him at the age of 7 that therapy was not a bad thing, that it was just an opportunity for him to kind of talk through his feelings. So the next time I spoke with him, he said, Miss Green, guess what? I love therapy. I told him everything. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it was just really, over the summer, we have never done a program like this. And it was just good to see bright moments like that, to watch the students grow and begin to trust us and to trust the process that we were bringing them through. Um, we also partnered with National Grid, which is something that we do every summer, to do a National Grid trades camp, which helps provide students with hands-on activities to help them understand some of the careers that are available in the energy industry, and many of these are carpentry, plumbing, electricians, where you don't necessarily have to go to college, to give them some other options to begin thinking about in terms of college and career readiness. So that was different too, because students had to do this virtually. And so what they did was they built a solar car, and then on the last day of the program, we had a solar car race. And a lot of the representatives from National Grid came out, and they gave them prizes for the winner, provided lunch from Panera. It was a really nice event. Um, And so the other thing that we did during the summer as an enrichment activity, well, actually it was part of our literacy program, was we had a book club, and we purchased books for the various age groups. The books that were selected were books that kids were really interested in. We did not have to twist their arm to read the books. Two of them were really thick novels, and most of the kids completed both books. So each day for an hour, not each day, once a week for an hour, their age, depending on the age group, they would meet to talk about the assigned reading, and we selected books that kind of dealt with everyday living and issues that our kids deal with right here in the city of Syracuse. So it was an interesting read for them. Um, Most of the adults, we all read the books as well. And the discussion was, I think, very impactful for the youth. And it was very interesting to watch them talk through some of the issues in the book. We got through it. We also hired a filming and production team called Black Cub. These are a few young men that have graduated from Newhouse at Syracuse University, and they are in the process right now of pulling together all of our pieces. We filmed our choir. We did a book bag giveaway. We filmed that. Uh, we have interviewed many of our students as well as the parents. So all of that will be on a tape real soon that we'll be able to share with our funders and folks that are interested in supporting Dunbar, because we really want to. And we're kind of naming this piece, How Did We Get Here? And we believe that much of what we did this summer will become our new normal. We know that between the seniors, the youth, and even when we delivered meals, we delivered to everyone, every kid in the home. And what we know is that we delivered approximately 5,000 meals just this summer alone. So we've been really busy, but I believe that once our piece is done, our How We Got Here piece, it will tell a story of how successful the program was this summer. So it was a lot of work. It took a lot of financial resource, but I think it was worth every bit of labor and every penny that we've invested into the program. And like I said, our kids, we purchased a book bag for every kid. We got belts for every boy. We got school supplies for each book bag, and we also bought hygiene products for that were donated by the Delta Torch for all of our girls. We bought them for our boys too, but the donation was supposed to be for girls. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of components, but so one of the other components of the program, we were able to hire, we were able to pay our high school and college students. They had to participate in the program, but we had to also find jobs for them to do. The Allen Foundation, Syracuse University, and a few other contributors were able to pool some resources together to provide stipends. $600 for the summer for those particular. We had 20 youth that participated. And as a result, how that helped is that when we were on our Zoom calls, let's say we had 20 kids on a Zoom call. We had a certified teacher, we had a teaching assistant, which was a college student that is in school right now studying to either be a social worker or a teacher. And then we would have 2 high school or college students that would also be on that call so that they could go into breakout rooms and work with students one-on-one. And so really, that's a 4-to-20 ratio, which is very different from what we have in our schools. And I think that was one of the major factors that helped our kids experience some level of success academically. And then it also helped, I thought it was a beyond great idea that the Allen Foundation and others thought it important enough to provide a stipend for kids because they did not want kids. They knew that the job market was such that teenagers probably wouldn't get summer jobs. So they wanted to provide them with some level of financial resource so that they wouldn't do something crazy to get money during the summer. And so it all kind of fell into place. The only thing is, from day to day, you just didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. You had to be flexible and be willing to go with the flow and just know that you wanted to create a win-win situation. Because we were able to get the PPP funding, we were able to maintain all of our staff. We didn't have to experience any layoffs, any cut in salary. Some staff worked from home if they had pre-existing conditions, and then the rest of us came in and rolled up our sleeves and got done what we needed to do. But we had about 15 staff that were virtual and on those Zoom calls for 7 to 8 weeks working with our young people. We had the Literacy Coalition, we had the Allen Foundation, the Gifford Foundation, the Central New York Community Foundation, the Women's Fund, the Links, the Delta Torch, Jim and Julie Boeheim, the UNSAC funding, OCFS, which is Onondaga County, Wegmans, and the Links. I think that's all of them. And
fantastic. So
yeah, we couldn't have done it without them. So we're very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So right now we're in the process of planning how Dunbar is going to, what role we're going to play in terms of the school year and virtual learning, and how we can provide virtual homework assistance and assistance to parents that are essential workers that aren't home with students and able to ensure that they're on their classes and doing what they need to do. So we are still in the planning stages of figuring out what role we're going to play, but we know we did not give the Chromebooks to students. We actually loaned them to them this summer so that we could pull them back and ensure that we have them again for the school year, and we'll work with students again in our program to provide that academic support, homework assistance, and some level of tutoring each day. First, I'd like to start by saying thank you so much for the support that you've shown to Dunbar over the past couple of years. Actually, for decades, we've been supported by the community. I, I want some contributors to know that um, we're still here, we're working hard, we're assessing the needs of the community, working really hard to make sure that we meet those changing needs and that we keep up with what the changes are. Um, it's not business as usual, but we are definitely working hard to do our part. Um, and I just want to say thank you.